Now that I've become the biggest YouTube gadget reviewer in the village, I've decided it's time to trade in my antique pedestal desk here for something a little bit more in keeping, a little bit more contemporary, more gadgety. It's an electric standing desk from a German company called Moll, and it arrives today. I can't wait! And the questions are, will it look nice in my office here? And will I use it? Well, of course I'll use it. The question is whether I'll use it standing up and whether I'll notice any health benefits. Well, let's find out. And here it is, not long to go now. Right, now it's time for the unboxing. And I have to say this is probably one of the very few YouTube unboxings where the box is considerably bigger than the unboxer. It's huge. They could bury me in this thing. I'd be very comfortable. Actually, I think there'd be room for the wife too. Anyway, let's see how fast I can swap out the two desks. Well, first impression is it's certainly lower than I was expecting. But look at that, that's very nicely made. God, it really is. I know it's a cliche, but the Germans really do know how to build things. No, it's quite a heavy thing, this. I think I'm going to need some help. Look at that! Oh, that's very good. Right, that's the desk in place, so now it's time for liftoff. So here goes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, and there it goes! That's fantastic! Look at that! There we go, I'll just leave that at desk height for the moment. A little bit lower perhaps. So, the first thing is to try and sort out the rat's nest of cables I've got on the floor down there. Now this desk very cleverly has a hidden drawer in the front there with 6 power sockets. That's more than enough for my Alexa speaker, my docking station, 2 lights, and my computer monitor. One small but slightly annoying little design flaw is that they've stuck these sockets in here a little bit too close together. And if you're using British plugs with thick cables coming out of them, there isn't room to plug them in next door to each other. And that means you can only use maybe 4 or 5 of the 6 available sockets. Now, I guess you could get around that using an adapter of some sort. It's just a shame they didn't leave a little bit more space in there in the first place. Now, I only ever use 4 or 5 sockets, so it's not a disaster for me. And look, there's even room to squish my docking station in there. And that's going to tidy up my desk no end. In fact, it means there's now room for my laptop to sit here alongside my monitor, so I've got 2 screens to work on. And I'm only left with 2 cables sticking out of the back, the mains cable and an Ethernet cable. And even those I can hide because the desk came with this rather handy piece of plastic ducting with some adhesive on the back that you can hide the cables in on the leg. Now, most standing desks don't have any drawers at all, but not so the T7. Look at that, it's got a full width drawer at the front and there's acres of space in there. Certainly enough room for all my day-to-day stuff. And in fact, I think I could slip the laptop in there if I wanted to. But it's not quite enough for 50 years worth of bank statements. So I also ordered a C7 container, which is a set of drawers on wheels. So I better unbox those next. Oh my God. Once again, this is a reassuringly heavy piece of furniture, which feels very solidly made. It's got a nice matching walnut front. The drawers open much more smoothly than the ones on my old desk. and they have a nice soft close to them. The top drawer is lockable, and it has a moulded plastic tray for all your knickknacks. And look, there's even a hidden compartment for your, I'm not sure what actually, perhaps your private collection of staples and paper clips. This thing spins incredibly smoothly, and that's more important than you might think, because you can, as I did, buy a cushion that sits on the top, turning it into an occasional seat. I think that's incredibly useful, and not just for when you want to show somebody something you're working on your computer, but also if you just want to put your feet up. Now, it does say on the instructions that this thing is rated for a maximum load of 75 kilos. Well, let's just say I'm quite a lot north of that, and I haven't been able to break it yet. So I'm now all set up on my new workstation and ready to use this thing standing up, which I'm now going to do for a week or so, and then I'll come back and tell you how I got on. Well, I've now been using my new desk for a few weeks now, and I absolutely love it. Aesthetically, I think that with the white top and the walnut inlay, it's one of those designs that sits really nicely both in a contemporary setting or alongside antique furniture. But it's also available the other way round, that's to say with a wooden top and a white inlay, which rather reminds me of an ice cream sandwich. And you can also get it with a number of different coloured inlays. This one, though, has made my small office feel lighter and more spacious. I love the way it's swallowed miles of power cables, and I like the way that the drawers blend into the design of the desk. I like the finish, which is very easy to clean and seems like it's very scratch resistant. I love the drawer unit too. I think having a drawer unit that doubles as an occasional seat is genius. It means I don't have to go off to the other side of the room and grab a chair whenever I want to show my wife or children something on the computer. It's just right there. Now, one of the things you have to think about with standing desks is whether the motors that move them up and down can carry the weight of stuff you want to put on them. When I was researching which desk to buy, I found quite a few that were rated to carry 100 kilograms, one rated to carry 160 kilos, whilst the Moll T7 here can only carry 50. But hang on a moment, 160 kilograms? Who on earth has 160 kilos of stuff on their desk? Maybe a gold bullion dealer, I suppose. On my desk, I've normally got two heavy old brass lamps here that weigh about 5 kilos each, a really wide monitor, which weighs another 9 kilos, and about 4 kilos worth of laptop and keyboard. And that still leaves me with 23 kilos to play with. So I think 50 is more than enough for most people. Now, as for dislikes, I can only really think of one, which is those power sockets in the front, which are a little bit too close together in the drawer. But that's not a big deal. Again, I think 4 to 5 sockets is going to be more than enough for most people anyway. As for using the desk while standing, after 30 years of sitting at my desk, I do have to remind myself to stand up. But it does feel remarkably natural when I do. In fact, I like working standing up much more than I thought I would. As to the health benefits, well, ironically, I put my back out filming this review. It proved just a little bit more difficult than I thought it would, surfing on a filing cabinet. So it's still a little bit too early for me to know. What I can say, though, is that if you search online, you'll find lots of claimed benefits of standing desks, many of which need to be taken with a slight pinch of salt. For example, one claim is that you burn more calories when you stand than when you sit. Now, strictly speaking, that is true, but according to a 2016 study, it's about 8 extra calories an hour. So if you stand all day long, you'll burn off an extra apple. So good luck shifting that McDonald's Grand Deluxe Big Mac burger meal with cheese bites, onion rings, chocolate shake and a hot apple pie. There have been a number of studies which have associated standing desks with reduced back pain. and I found one that concluded they may also help reduce blood pressure. But on the flip side, there's also been research showing that people who stand all day are also at greater risk of heart disease and varicose veins. Ooh. What most experts seem to agree, though, is that the healthy thing to do is mix it up a bit. A bit of standing, a bit of sitting, and a decent amount of walking. I've also found that just varying the sitting height of this table by a few inches during the day helps me get more comfortable too. Now, this is not a cheap desk by any standard. At the time of writing, it's available in the UK from a company called Back in Action for just shy of £3,000. The occasional seat drawer unit is another grand. Yeah, it's a lot of money, especially when you think you can buy a cheap standing desk for a couple of £100 these days. But I spent a very, very long time looking, and I think this is by far and away the nicest design I've seen. And I haven't seen another with such a big drawer, which hides those power cables so well. And the drawer unit with the occasional seat is incredibly useful. And I think of it this way. I spend most of my life at my desk, so it's really worth splashing out on a nice one, especially if it helps reduce backache. In fact, there's a similar logic in spending as much as you can on a mattress, and I've certainly never regretted a single penny of the eye-watering amount I spent on a vice spring. If you know anyone who works at a desk and maybe has a bad back, you might like to share this with them. Otherwise, till the next time, I've been Arlo Guthrie. Bye-bye.